overall accountability and getting intimately and having what's called business intimacy is crucial. And their day-to-day business is part of their day-to-day life. Because the reality is this, cashing checks is not the end. Cashing checks for them is the beginning. Realize like certain levels of production, they are better off working together. That's smart. I understood it. How am I going to explain to people that they used to get one-on-one time with me, but now they're going to be in a group? Because if I just announce it like that, here's what they're going to hear. You're not worth my time. We don't role play enough with our agents. We role play intro calls. We role play an inbound lead. We role play open house. We role play objections. Do we really role play getting people off the fence to write a winning offer? So how frustrating is it that you get somebody all the way to the point where they're pre-approved out shopping, won't write a winning offer? That's super frustrating.
Welcome to the Refuge Podcast Playbook Series. This is your host, Danny Gould, here with Isaac Guzman. Today, we're going to be talking about agent one-on-one meetings and the importance of creating a cadence of accountability with the agents who are a part of your organization. And Isaac probably is one of the foremost experts on this subject, as he was the former sales manager of the number one team at eXp Realty, and now has his own team that he is building in San Diego. Shout outs to your home team, San Diego, right?
More.
Hey, all right, man. So let's dive into it, because it's a really exciting topic. I think that it's something, well, it's exciting for me. I don't know if it's exciting for the people back at home. I think that a lot of teams, perhaps, especially growing teams that are kind of like growing into, from a solo agent, maybe who's growing and scaling their team, they kind of put the meetings, the one-on-one, the cadence of accountability on the back burner. And so we want to kind of bring it to the forefront and explain why why creating a system of accountability or cadence of accountability is so important, and kind of what the structure is that you would recommend someone who is starting to develop their own kind of like accountability systems. So that being said, why let's just start it. Why have one-on-ones, or are one-on-ones the best thing to do? Should we do group coaching? Like, what is the benefit of doing either one-on-one group coaching, and what do you stand to lose if you don't do this for your team?
So overall, if you lack accountability, what you stand to lose is multiple things, right? One is that camaraderie, that community, because you're not getting involved in their day-to-day business. And their day-to-day business is part of their day-to-day life, right? And so you're not showing the concern for what it is they want to do, because the reality is this: cashing checks is not the end. Cashing checks for them is the beginning. So if you're not helping them be more productive, you're not helping them pay off their school loans, you're not helping them buy their rental properties, you're not helping them pay for a travel ball for their kid that really wants to be a professional or go to college and play baseball, right? You're not helping them accomplish their personal life goals, because we know that in order to accomplish most of their personal life goals, it's going to require some degree of income, right? Even if it's like, all I care about is having the best marriage in the world. Okay, great. Are you going to pay for counseling? You guys going to go away on trips? Like, there's money that's part of that equation, right? Anybody who ignores that, you ignore that at your peril. So overall, accountability and getting intimately and having what's called business intimacy is crucial inside your business, right? Business intimacy is not defined as touching, feeling, going out with drink, knowing what I mean is hugs and all that stuff. Obviously, you can go to like no good for HR route too, but that's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that business intimacy is knowing what gets you up out of bed and what gets you up at night. I call it, and as weird as I'm saying this, like non-HR compliant, I call it getting into bed with agents. And here's what I mean by that: not actually getting into their bed, but at night, what makes them toss and turn? What keeps them up at night?
Yeah.
Those are the fears that they have, the anxieties that they're working through. And then on the flip side, what gets them up out of bed? What's the thing that when they know what's going to happen today, you can keep them under the blanket if you try, right? What gets them exhilarated, right? Maybe it's a closing, maybe it's an appointment, maybe it's something else with their family, but that real estate paycheck allows them to get up out of bed with excitement, right? And so that's where are you going to learn that? In the first interview? You think that's going to carry through for the multiple months and years that you guys are business partners? No way. Because people change, their goals change, and a lot of times they're putting up a very shallow facade when they're initially interviewing. When you start watching what they do day to day, week in, week out, year in, year out, you need to make sure that you're in tune with that, because one, it shows that you care. Two, it allows you to get the ammunition, and I'm using that word very purposefully. It allows you to get the ammunition you need to encourage them through the tough times. Right? The reminders, the looping them back. We talked about the accountability cadence in our last conversation. In the realm of all things possible, could you have gotten it done? What would you have had to sacrifice, or what inconvenience would you have had to suffer in order to make that happen? And then comparing that to the big thing that they want. Well, how about you going to compare it to the big thing that they want if you don't know what the big thing that they want is? Right. Or if you're stuck on what they said in their interview 2.5 years ago. Oh, you want to pay off that school debt? Dude, I paid that off 18 months ago. Right? So without having a cadence of getting to know you intimately, it's hard to put my finger on that. So here's what we do. As you're scaling out, though, this is the number one problem a lot of people run into with accountability is I used to run one-on-ones, but now I have too many agents. And now it's like 2 whole days of my week are just booked with one-on-ones where I'm having repetitive conversations over and over again. Yep. So one of the things that I know you and I talked about actually was when we went away from one-on-one accountability and meetings, right, to group meetings. But here's where we were really specific on that, is that it's going to be production based, right? Because people that are trying to sell their first house have very similar problems to people that are trying to sell their first house or their second house. Yep. And they have wildly different problems in their lives and goals and challenges and aspirations than those who sell 3 a month, right? Absolutely. And so what you find is that, and I actually learned this. So I actually learned this over time when I started stacking my one-on-one. So the team's growing, we got 25 agents, 30 agents. I'm bringing on a couple every month. And I'm like, holy crap, my whole Tuesday used to be coaching. Now it's Tuesday and Wednesday. And like, dude, people reschedule on me. So now I'm coaching all day Tuesday, coaching half of the day on Wednesday. And then some of them leak into Thursday, Friday. And other people, they reschedule for the week after that. And now it's bleeding over. It just became chaos. And here's the other thing I noticed, that I kept having the same conversations over and over and over again, right? But with different people. Hey, I need to figure out how to generate more leads. I need to figure out how to close more deals without my wife being upset with me or my husband talking crap to me that I'm on my computer while we're on vacation. Right? And what I realized is these certain chunks of issues. And then here's another thing I started finding out that a lot of the resources that this individual that I'm meeting with, that they need, and the solution to their problem is something that this other person just dealt with and overcame last month, right? So Dante and Bonita are both experiencing the same issue in 2 different time frames, right? Dante just got over that thing. He just got over that hurdle. And so I'd go to Bonita and go, hey, Bonita, you know who I think you should talk to is Dante. He would really be helpful. Right? Because me and him worked through this, and this is what he did. And he could probably tell you the tweaks that he made and how it all worked out and the challenges he went through. So do me a favor, after we get off of this, reach out to Dante. Well, that's assuming Bonita actually reached out. Sometimes she did, sometimes she didn't. Right? And use Bonita as a proxy for any agent, right? Yep. So then, or Bonita did reach out and Dante's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it. And then neither of them follow up because they both have busy lives. Right? And so what I kept realizing is, I was actually the bottleneck. Yeah. Like me being the one-on-one person was the bottleneck, because I'm like, to be honest with you, if Dante were sitting in this room right now, it would be more impactful than me being the person telling you about this. Right. Right. And so here's what happened. I realized like certain levels of production, they are better off working together. Now that's smart. I understood it. I knew there was a strategy behind it that's going to free up my time and give them more value. But you can't just walk out with the strategy and roll it out. You have to have the second piece, which is choreography. Right. And the choreography was, how am I going to explain to people that they used to get one-on-one time with me, but now they're going to be in a group? Because if I just announce it like that, here's what they're going to hear. You're not worth my time, and I'm going to group you up.
Yep.
You sheep, you cattle, right? That's how they feel.
Yeah.
So I had to let them know. I had to walk them through the discovery process. Hey, y'all, blah, 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 everything I just mentioned. I'm actually a bottleneck. I'm doing you a disservice by having one. Let's roll up to group. And they were more excited to go into group. And it wasn't me being manipulative. It was me simply understanding the fact that just because it makes sense to me and just because I know it's what's the right thing to do for them doesn't mean I don't have the obligation to sell them on the idea to get their total buy-in so that they're excited about it, right? I can, because poor leaders rely on policy. Good leaders use influence to enforce policy. They allow people to buy into the policy. Right. And so the policy moving away from one-on-one. Now, here's the other thing though, too, is that I still kept one-on-ones with certain people.
Okay.
Right. And here's what I did though. I didn't make it indefinite. I said, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to do one-on-ones and let's see how it goes. We might change the cadence. We might, Danny, have to go twice a week after these 6 weeks. We might end up going once a month. We'll figure that out, but let's focus for these next 6 weeks on one-on-ones, right? And these were typically people that were top producers or up-and-coming producers.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
People, and so here's what I mean. The people who sell 16 houses a year every year, they're running into like life balance issues. But there's also some people that based on production fall into that group of 16 units. But the difference is that, I'm going to use Agent X. I don't want to use any names. Agent X has been selling 16 homes a year for 4 years. That's what they do. Right? Agent Y sold 16 homes this year. Yeah, but the year before they sold 2 and they're desperate to get to 4. That person does not actually belong in that 16 all the time, year in, year out group. They're going to outgrow that. They're going to feel like constrained. They're going to feel, right? So it's my ability to spend one-on-one time to figure out who does and does not belong in that group, right? It's not based on a moment in time. It's based on a body of work, right? And the people that are growing, striving, really pushing the envelope, I need to get one-on-one with them because they have a customized plan that I have to have for week to week, what they're going to be focusing on, right? And they're big time executors. So here's the formula for the one-on-one. So my formula is really simple. Hey, what's going on in your life? Anything I should know? I want them to start talking, right? In addition to that, let me rewind. 1, before the meeting, they need to get their production information. They need to know where they're at year to date compared to their goal, right? Where they're at on lead and lag measures. This is the amount of contacts you've made this month, whatever I'm tracking, right? Amount of dials made, amount of points in follow-up boss, amount of appointments held, amount of appointments set, in contract closed, right? Like they need that report and I need that report. And so what that report is going to tell me what kind of conversation this is going to be. Now there's some components that are going to be in this conversation regardless, right? Of what that is. But if someone's ahead of goal, I'm going to have a different conversation than at goal or behind goal, right? And so the conversation that I'm always looking for is contribution or correction, right? So in other words, if you're behind goal, I'm looking for what can we correct in your business, right? If you're ahead of your goal or on pace of where you should be, right? I'm looking for how can I contribute to your life in some meaningful way, which might have nothing to do with production. It might be like, hey, dude, you mentioned a year ago that you wanted to eventually start flipping homes. Like, do you have a plan in place for that? Bro, that's what the person who's blowing their goals out of the water wants to talk about. They want to talk about the next thing.
Perfect.
They don't want to have a production related conversation. Dude, I make all my calls every month. I'm crushing my conversion. You know what's funny? The number one question I get from sales managers and team leaders is I feel good about how to stick it to the person not doing their job.
Yeah.
I have a harder time adding value to the person who's crushing it. they have a harder time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're using a one size fits all coaching approach.
Yep.
So anyway, when I'm in the meeting, the first thing I look at is like, so what do you got? I want them to start telling me, they're going to bring to the forefront what's important. Right.
Uh-huh.
And what I like to always prepare these people and go, I want you to have 3 things that you want to talk about. I'm going to have 3 things that I want to talk about, and we'll see if we can cover all 6. Hardly ever do we even cover 2, right? I want them thinking. I want them going into this accountability meeting going, here's the things that I have. And you'll start to learn, are these people that look for issues to bring or advice to seek or attaboys that they're seeking? It doesn't matter to me, but you start learning what motivates them, right?
Sure.
And start preparing for that. So anyways, what I do is, well, what's going on with you? The next thing I want to do is I always want to talk to production focused people, right? The people who are on pace or behind, and even the people that are a little bit ahead. I want to ask them top 3. I'm big on top 3 because coaching starts here. So who's your top 3 clients right now? And not top 3 in terms of who do you like the most or who's got the biggest budget, right? Or what's the biggest commission out there? I'm saying top 3 are the 3 people that you're moving forward right now that are further ahead in stage.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to know what's going on with them. I go, okay, great. Where are they at? Where are they stuck? And I want to figure out if they're stuck anywhere. And so if they tell me this one's good, I'm just waiting on an offer. Okay, great. Next one. I'm not going to dig into that.
Uh-huh.
We're waiting on acceptance. They just wrote the offer. I'm pretty sure we're going to win it. We're waiting on acceptance. Awesome. So you're not stuck. Nope. Next one. I want to find one where they're stuck on a specific client. Once I find someone where they're stuck, here's what I want to have them do. This is one of the most powerful things that you can do for them. Because here's the thing. When they walk out and they have weapons to go sell more real estate, that's better than any plan you could make, any fun, cool next tip, lead gen tip. Dude, get them a freaking commission. I don't know why it's so hard, right? Let's get them a paycheck. They really like paychecks, it turns out. So I want to find out going down the pipe now, if all 3 of their top 3 are like in a perfect condition, great, let's go to number 4. But I want to find a stuck. And as soon as I find a stuck, I go straight to here because this is me conditioning them to problem solve. Because remember, 101 coaching, probably should have said this at the beginning. This kind of coaching is all about teaching them how to coach themselves in our absence, teaching them exposing them to truths and modeling for them truths and principles such that they coach themselves in our absence. So here's what I'm teaching them with this whole, give me your top 3. Let's find the stuck. As soon as we find a stuck, I go, hey, Danny, so you're stuck. Okay, great. So Danny, what's the conversation that needs to happen to get unstuck? Because every single person that's stuck in your pipeline right now, there's a conversation that is required that either you don't know how to have, either 1, you don't know that you need to have it. 2, you don't know how to have it. Or 3, you're afraid to have it. So I'll give you an example. This person has been writing offers every weekend and we keep getting beat. Most agents say something ridiculous like this. We're just waiting for the right one. No, dude. No. The conversation is, are you serious about buying a house? Now, this isn't exactly how I would say it, but the reality is they need to realize that their current process of trying to buy a home is flawed, right? And no, but they're really analytical and they have this spreadsheet. Okay, great. What's the conversation that needs to be had?
Right.
How about this? The husband loves the husband loves the house, the wife hates it, and then the wife loves the house, and then the husband hates it. So they won't write offers on anything that makes sense. Great. They need to have are you guys really in alignment with what you need and want in this house? Are you guys sure you want to stay married for a long time? Right? Like, so those are conversations that need to be had. And then they go, okay, cool. So I'll help them find the conversation needs to be had. And I go, great, we're going to role play right now. Let's go. Dude, we don't role play enough with our agents.
Right.
We role play intro calls. We role play an inbound lead. We role play open house. We role play objections. Do we really role play getting people off the fence to write a winning offer?
Right. It's too far along. It's like most people only focus on like steps A, B, and C in like an A to Z process. Right. And so 100%. 100%.
So how frustrating is it that you get somebody all the way to the point where they're pre-approved, out shopping, writing offers, but they won't write a winning offer? That's super frustrating.
And it's common.
Extremely common.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you the symptom that you can spot in your database, team leader watching this. I'll tell you the symptom that shows that you have this disorder in your organization.
Uh-huh.
Do you have agents hoarding leads?
Okay.
Do you have agents that claim leads, call them one time, and then don't call them anymore? Yeah.
All the time.
And here's why. They're just looking for the path of least resistance because they keep running into situations where they get somebody almost to the finish line and can't get it done. And here's where we're failing them. We're not teaching them how to have the conversation that really matters, that 5-yard line conversation. So we're going to role play that in our one-on-one. And then it's not just right? What's half the battle in coaching? It's the by when. Danny, you and I just realized that you have this client that's stuck, that needs to have the come to Jesus conversation about writing winning offers versus writing offers, right? So like this is a real life scenario. Here in San Diego, there's a lot of engineers, right? We have a lot of engineering clients because we have big tech and a lot of biotech here, lots of engineers, right? Qualcomm, Apple, Amazon, all that stuff's here. So we have a lot of buyers, believe it or not, that use spreadsheets to determine what their offer price is.
Same thing in Silicon Valley, right? So it's
dude, I'm preaching on the choir.
Literally, fucking spreadsheet.
How was spreadsheet? They go, well, based on the price per square foot on all the comps that you send me, and da-da-da-da-da. And here's the thing. On the first offer, I get it. Makes sense. That's what makes you feel comfortable. Second offer, I kind of get it. The third offer that you lost out on, I'm not really sure. Here's the thing, Mr., Mrs. Engineer, right? I noticed something's missing in your spreadsheet. Now, I'm just a dumb old realtor. So they're going to be very caught off guard by the fact that I'm calling them out on something missing on their spreadsheet. This is a true story that I did one time with an agent of mine. And I go, let's just jump on a call together. Let's jump on a call with them right now. I'm like, oh, so sounds like you're using some kind of spreadsheet, even though I already knew. I was like, can I see that? Like, wow, you take into account a lot of things, but you're missing one really important thing. They're like, what? What am I missing? I got everything. I go, well, what I don't see is you accounting for the fact that your last 5 offers didn't get accepted. So I don't know in what world someone wouldn't record the results and then adjust their model based on the lack of results. You're not accounting for the fact that you're losing, right? Like, how are you're not accounting for the fact that this spreadsheet doesn't create a winning scenario.
Doesn't work. Yeah. Right.
And so it's like if I came up with a new card counting model and I'm telling everybody, dude, like you got to do this new card counting model. Like, let's go to Vegas. You're going to become a millionaire. And they're like, great. How many times have you won with it? I'm like, none. The model doesn't work. Right. So anyways, having that conversation with the agent that unlocks that one deal is more important than how many appointments you can help them set with this magic FSBO script.
Right.
The magic FSBO script might get them appointments, but what about the person that's on the 5-yard line that they can cash a check in?
I love that.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's, hey, where are we stuck? Where's your next paycheck? It doesn't even have to be a stuck. Where's the next paycheck? They might not even think they're stuck. You go, well, my client's doing this and this one's writing offers. What do you mean by writing offers? You realize writing offers is the worst place someone can be. Writing offers, plural.
Right.
That means, by the way, they're on their path to fatigue.
Bingo.
They're on the way to fatigue. You don't know this, agent, but you're walking down a dangerous path. Their writing offers is the worst thing right now. They're waiting on acceptance. That's fine. Right? But writing offers plural means they're on their way to exhaustion, right? On their way to fatigue, on their way to saying, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and wait on the sideline.
Isn't it?
We've all had that buyer, right? We've all had them.
Yep.
In spades. And so you're on your path there. So let's first identify that someone's actually stuck. Then let's own up to the reality that we are one conversation away from being unstuck. It might not be a fun conversation. It might not be one you're prepared to have. That's fine. Let's just own the fact that that conversation exists. Then let's coach you on how that conversation should go. Then we're going to actually role play it because the words need to come out of your mouth, agent, not just mine, because you've ever played telephone, right? Meet me at the light at 8 turns into let's go fish and you buy the bait, right? Like that turns into something completely different. So I need those words to come out of your mouth. I'm going to coach you right there. And then we're going to look at your calendar right now, and we're going to put on your calendar when you are going to have that conversation with that client. And you're going to invite me to that. You're going to invite me to that. I'm not going to show up, but I want to see it on my calendar because I'm going to text you 30 minutes after that appointment starts and go, how did it go?
Perfect.
Right. So that's the best formula that I've ever had. And then here's the other thing. When we go through that, I go, okay, awesome. Is there anything else I should know? You ever go to dinner, Danny, and like, be honest, it's okay if it's not true. You ever go to dinner when you were like in high school, you're at home and your parents go, Danny, is there anything I should know? Is there anything you want to tell me about school today?
And your stomach drops.
Yeah. Your heart goes in your stomach goes into your nose, and you're just like, of the 4 things I did today to get me grounded, which one do they know?
Yeah.
Right? Here's why. I'm not trying to get them in trouble. What I want them to do is bring up the thing that they didn't want to bring up.
Yep.
And here's what you're going to find out. And this is what's scary for leaders. Here's what you're going to find out. They're going through a divorce. Their kid has some long-term illness. They're thinking about leaving.
That's a big one.
Right? You know, I've actually been having a conversation, but that's where it comes up. It comes up at the end when all the pressure is alleviated. They've built trust with you, right? In that moment, every day we build trust. And then you go, hey, so is there anything else I should know? And here's what they go, yeah, they found out I was talking to X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Oh, I better own up to it. No, I don't want to look like a liar. Right? And that's where they bring it up. Is that a little bit diabolical? Maybe. But hey, man, I'm trying to figure out how I can help them. By the way, I might be able to help them. Just say, hey, you know what? I think that's actually a great opportunity for you. You should go for it.
That's just,
or I might share with them, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but Samantha, you remember how Samantha left for a year and then came back? You know where she went? That same place. You should have talked to her. I'm looking out for them.
Right.
So that's the core formula that I use is like, hey, let's go over your stats. Let's just see what's there. What do you want? Actually, first is what do you want to talk about? Okay, great. I'm looking at your stats. I'm going to compliment or correct. Hey, it looks like you're having a challenge here. How can I help? Is there a way I could support you in that? Okay, great. And then I'll go into that accountability conversation, right? Commitments, right? Then I go, all right, awesome. Let's go over your top 3. Find the stuck. Work through the stuck. When are you going to do it? Is there anything else I should know?
Yeah. And I can attest because for those who are listening, Isaac coached me for several years before we got into business with one another. And I could say that, you know, this formula really does work. One of the things that just struck me right now as you were describing the formula, Isaac, is that there is a balance between formulaic, like there's a formulaic component to it, but then there's also a human component to it. Right. And I think that a lot of team leaders, sales managers, whoever's really running these meetings, right, fall into the trap of, you know, KPIing their agents to death. And I know that I used to do this, by the way. And so like this was a new way of approaching things, because whether or not I want to admit it to myself, I am pretty analytical. And so when I went to the board, and actually I think a lot of high performers KPI themselves to death, right? Like a lot, like if you're a winner, like you're probably looking at the scoreboard all the time and you're like, all right, how am I going to move the needle in the right direction? And most team leaders are winners, high performers, type A personalities. And so they don't understand how to, they don't understand the yang to the yin, right? The yin is, what are the numbers? Did we hit them or not? You did? Great. good job, like not even good job, right? Like great, right? You did your job, or you didn't. Why the hell not? Right? And then that's it. Like that's end of meeting. Okay, next, right? That is probably the fastest way to losing agents on your team. And not only that, I would also say that, this structure allows for you to build, as you said, business intimacy with your agents, which I think is the most important thing, right? Now, my follow-up question to you is there a scenario in which there could be too much intimacy, not in the romantic way, but in the way where you start to dilute the impact of your authority / leadership because maybe you've gone too chummy with them? Like, is there a scenario in which or are there things to avoid in these conversations that would get you to a place where you are no longer in a position where you can really truly hold them accountable? Because I know I got there once with one of my agents, and I'm curious, what are the things that you would have red flags, big no-nos during these conversations?
Yeah, 100%. So it's funny because I'm actually really well known for maintaining that distance. But I wasn't like that.
Right.
At my first brokerage, when I was in leadership, I blurred the lines terribly to my detriment. And here's the thing, and I knew better than this, but I knew it, but I didn't apply it. So I didn't have the wisdom.
Yep.
So I knew this this phrase that was taught to me: familiarity breeds contempt.
Yep.
You want to know why teenagers are jerks to their parents? Because they know their parents, and they're like, "You're not this big, bad, infallible person. You're terrible."
Yeah.
And what they really mean, because they're too naive to understand this, what they mean when they say they're terrible, what they're actually admitting is, I just now realize I have to cope with the fact that you're a flawed human being. That is now new information to me, and I don't know how to deal with it because now I feel like I'm in the wind in this world. That's actually why teenage angst exists. It's because they realize their parents are human and flawed. Right?
Interesting.
And so anyways, familiarity breeds contempt. As soon as you become, so here's the thing. And it's funny because I don't know if it's on purpose. Have you ever seen The Karate Kid?
Of course. Yeah. Great movie.
I went to this leadership training one time. This was before I was in real estate. This was I used to run a gym, an MMA gym.
Yep.
And I paid for this mastermind group, and I flew to Florida for 5 days. I went to this big training on how to run your gym and all this stuff. And one of the first things the guy made us do was sit down and watch the entire Karate Kid, the entire movie.
Interesting. Okay.
But he's pausing it and he's teaching us lessons. And one of the lessons that I saw, it's this one scene from Mr. Miyagi where they finally they're doing whatever. And Daniel's son turns around and goes, "Mr. Miyagi, you're my best friend." You know what Mr. Miyagi's reaction is?
Yeah.
He goes, "Daniel's son, okay too." That's what he said. He said, "You're all right. You're my best friend." And he goes, "Nah, dude, familiarity breeds contempt. You're all right. Check yourself. We're not homies. I am your sensei." Then he blows it by him finding him drunk in the shed, right? Later down the road. And then you see Daniel's son's relationship with him changes a little bit, becomes a little too familiar, right? So here's the thing. Don't get drunk with your people. Sorry. Don't do it. Become the master of Irish goodbye. That's what I was known for in my last team. I was known as the Irish goodbye person. If you don't know what an Irish goodbye is, it's you just disappear. You were there 1 second, laughing, doing whatever, and then you were gone, and no one heard about you the rest of the night. And when they texted you where you at, it's a picture of you hanging out at your house by yourself or with your family.
That's right.
This is not your family, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to lead these people, they are not your family. You can treat them as good as family. You can care for them like family, but they are not your family. Your family are the people that know all the dirty little things about you Think about it this way. Oh, but I want them to be my family. Dude, really? Go ahead. Okay. Go hire your family then. Would you go hire all your family members?
Right.
No, then why would you want everybody you hire to be your family? That's an insane premise if you think about it.
Right.
Now, here's the other thing. The other thing is, how do you stop that? How do you stop that from happening, Isaac? Just naturally. I'm a naturally gregarious person. I love making friends. I love people.
Yeah.
I'm a very social person. Here's what you have to do.
And I think most team leaders, I think most people in real estate who decide to start a team would identify as that, right? Like I would say the vast majority.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what you have to realize. One, it's okay to have a tight-knit inner circle, right? But those people should not be the people that you coach. You need to go outside that.
Uh-huh.
So like me, you know her, Laura, right? She was one of the other execs at a big company I was at. She and I would hang out. We'll go out to a dinner, right? We'll go shoot the breeze. She and I will Irish goodbye, right? But we knew it. We literally would talk about it. Like we do not fraternize after a certain time with our people.
Yeah.
Even when we went out of town, right? We'd go out of town. We'd go to Catalina Island, whatever. And it was like, all right, well, I got a bedtime. I have a curfew. I'm not going to be hanging out with you guys late. Right. And here's the other thing too, though. Treat it like a presentation. Dude, these are interactions and they need to be thoughtful. So one of my best friends, I love this dude deeply, Michelle Goldstein. Right?
Yeah. Michelle.
You know.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing human beings you'll ever meet in your entire life. Dude.
Yep.
Top producer, just a heart of gold, savage salesperson, like anything. Me and him talk all the time, all that stuff. Right. But we're not blurring the lines. When he came to, and here's the thing, he respected it. He would come to our weekly one-on-one with a list of items he wanted to talk about. The reason why is because he knew when we sat down during that time, it was business. We weren't going to shoot the breeze. It wasn't some formality that we go through. Isaac is here to help me.
Yep.
And so he took it serious. And so when I'm going into a one-on-one or a group, I'm walking in and I know this, I'm in presentation mode. That's your problem. If you feel people are starting to build contempt for you, that's your fault because you were showing up and you didn't show up like in presentation mode.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I'm always the guy to point them back to core values and whether or not they're in alignment or violating core values. Here's what I mean. My core values, if you were to live every single day in every part of your life based on the core values that we have, you'd sell more real estate. You'd also have a better relationship with your wife. You'd also have a better relationship with your kids. You'd also have a better relationship with your money, right? And so what I would do is anytime someone brings something up, what I'm going to always loop them back to is, are you in alignment or are you violating a core value? Right? So over time, what happens is they start walking in and fast forwarding the conversation. I'll use Michelle as an example. One time after a year of being on the team, he walks in and one of our core values is mindset of abundance, right? He walks in and goes, Isaac, I have a mindset of abundance issue. Dude, normally it takes me like 20 minutes to get there, right? Maybe it's like the ISA appointment that I think should have gone to me went to somebody else. And then I have to like work through all this stuff and eventually get him to the place where it's like, well, I guess that's not a mindset of abundance. You're right. But eventually he just walked in and straight said it. Self-diagnosed. Mindset of abundance issue. This is what I need help with today, Isaac. Dude, that's gold.
Yeah.
No. So then he knew also there was no, and there's the last piece. I'm never going to amplify your complaint. I am not the complaint box. I am going to hold you accountable and I'm going to challenge your thinking and you're not going to walk out of here a victim. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to walk out of here knowing full well that you need to take responsibility for what it is that's going on in your business. And so don't even bring that stuff here. And the other piece is this, forward and upward only. I give everyone this speech when we start doing one-on-ones. We are a forward and upward conversation only. Forward means we're doing something different. We're not having the same conversation about the same thing twice in a row. Now, what you might hear is, Isaac, I'm not converting at open houses as much as I want to. And what you might have heard me say is that we can never talk about poor open house conversion again. No, not true. Here's what it means. Isaac, I'm having trouble converting in open houses. Great. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then we're going to put together a plan. Next week, you can show up and go, Isaac, I'm still not converting in open houses. And the follow-up question is, did you do what we said we were going to do? Did you implement it? Did you give it a shot? If the answer is yes, awesome. This is technically a forward conversation because now we're working on a new solution, right? And now if you come back and you go, no, I didn't give it a try. Awesome. Go give it a try. I'll see you next week. I will literally kick you out of my office if you did not do what we did. This is not a forward conversation. Remember when we talked about these would be upward and forward conversations? Mm-hmm. This is no longer a forward conversation. So next week, I'm looking forward to our forward facing conversation and kick them out. That's a 2-minute one-on-one because we're done. These are for upward. And by upward, I mean positive.
Right.
Solution based. So those are the other rules to make sure that people aren't abusing the fact that we have a personal relationship and won't get too personal.
Yeah. I think that everything that you just said there makes a lot of sense, right? At the end of the day, and I experienced this in my own business too. So I'm speaking from experience where, and I don't know necessarily that I ever had the mindset of like, oh, I want us to be a family, right? Because I understood let's say the dangers of that. That being said, because I am who I am, because I do make friends easily, right? And so like I just never want to be my friend, right? So then at some point, kind of early, like the agents that joined my team kind of early on, we had a different relationship than the agents who came kind of later in the process. And so it's very interesting, right? The danger there, aside from everything that you just listed out, by the way, is that at some point, all the agents that have a different relationship with you will inevitably have it's not the same anymore conversation with you, right?
It's a really good point.
And so it's at some point, if you do plan to scale beyond a certain size, like that 5 to 10 agent count mark, then just know that unless you treat those agents and kind of use the frameworks that Isaac just suggested, you are in all likelihood going to be losing those agents. And chances are you're going to lose them anyways, because like, that's just what happens, right? Like, the average retention is like 3 years, right? So if you're holding on to someone for like 7-10 years, like that is an anomaly, right? Like that is a huge anomaly. But anyways, I digress. We're kind of running up on time here. A couple of things that I wanted to cover or tackle before we ended though, Isaac. The first one being, we didn't clarify here, but I just want to clarify for the group coaching sessions, right? So what I'm hearing is that the one-on-ones are kind of reserved for, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, reserved for like kind of those top performers that you want to pour into, or the up and comers that you're trying to pour into and kind of get to the next level. And maybe everyone's a part of groups, but like you're kind of breaking away some of these individuals who you either see potential in or are already performing at a high level. You're like, hey, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to do a one-on-one. And then beyond that, we may go month to month, or you might go back and do whatever, right? So you're kind of choreographing that in a way where you're rolling them out or breaking them out of that group, doing the one-on-ones individually with them, which I think is smart because you're saving a lot of time by looping everyone in the groups, but then really pouring your time into the people that are going to have the highest ROI for you and for your business. Then for the group coaching sessions, so are we using the same framework just in kind of like a group setting? Like, hey guys, like, what do we need to talk about today? What are your numbers? Share it with the group. What are your top 3? Or where are we stuck with the group? Are we kind of going around the circle, so to speak, and having those conversations? What does that look like?
So the short answer is yes. We do that. We go around the circle. Now, 2 things. 1, I almost never get around the whole group.
Right.
But that's fine because they hear the conversation, right? They hear I'm digging for the stuck. How do you have that? The what by when, right? They're hearing a lot of that. Okay. But the other thing is this, what I first do when I break these out. So I always do them in 6-week groups anyways, right? Because someone could break out of that group in 6 weeks or fall apart in 6 weeks. And also, I don't feel like committing to that for more than 6 weeks. I want a couple weeks off.
Right.
I always do it in 6 weeks, no matter what. Like, I don't care. We're going to do it a weekly for 6 weeks, and then we'll figure it out from there, which is my way of being able to excuse myself from the situation if I have to. I'm only committed 6 weeks at a time.
I see.
Right?
I like that.
So the other thing is this, though. What I do on the first session is I kind of start gauging like what's going on in your business as a group, right? And then I already know this. There are fundamental truths and principles at different levels that need to be learned to unlock the next level, right? So the importance of time blocking. Dude, I don't need to teach my top producer that stuff. I don't even need to teach that top tier of agent stuff. They're not selling 3 homes a month without knowing how to effectively manage a calendar.
Right.
But for them, I might be teaching them the how to build your own brand, right? There's principles to building your own brand.
Right.
So in that group, I'm teaching what are the principles that are going to unlock this level of agent to go to the next level.
Love it.
And usually they're common. So brand new agents, it's going to be things like scripting and time blocking, right? Yeah. Hey guys, and in reality, for newer and up and coming agents, it's really simple. Know where you're supposed to be and be there when you're supposed to be there. It's crazy, but you would be surprised, or you probably wouldn't be, but a lot of people would be surprised at that's the number one challenge with new and up and coming agents is know where you're supposed to be and be there when you're supposed to be there. So I'll give you a really super short example. Nestor comes out to me and goes, hey, did you see that email about that probate, how to generate business using probate attorneys? Should I go to that training? And I was like, absolutely not. Dude, we built your plan for your business. Never once did the word attorney, lawyer, probate, divorce ever come, death. None of that came up, not even once.
Yeah.
You have no business being there. Saeed, whose wife is a paralegal, who has mentioned multiple times that he wants to start leveraging those relationships. Saeed, you have no business doing anything but being at that training.
Right.
And so it's the fundamental principle of know where you're supposed to be based on your plan, know how to chart, am I in the right spot, heading in the right direction, use your compass, use your map, right? To figure out, make sure you're going the right place. Those are fundamental things that I have to teach them. At the next level, it might be how to convert sellers how to convert at an appointment.
Yes.
Right? Understanding the difference between features and benefits. Understanding how to use story-based selling, right? Because that's the thing that's going to unlock their ability to use video content at the highest possible level and generate leads using YouTube, right? If you're not a good storyteller, you probably shouldn't be trying to generate leads using YouTube, right? So like, these are all the things that when I look, sure, some of them know some of it, but I doubt all of them know all of it. I'm teaching that principle and then I'm running the formula, right? And the thing is, that might sound like it's a longer meeting, but no, if I have 8 people in there and it takes me an hour, I couldn't have done 8 one-on-ones in an hour.
Okay.
So my one-on-ones with the individuals might be 15 to 20 minutes. My group might be a full hour, but I'm doing 3 hours, 2 hours worth of one-on-ones at once.
Yeah.
In that group approach.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that stay flexible to bring up people who are having success in the group. Hey, Dante, that thing that we just talked about yesterday, remember I caught you in the hallway and you did that video and you followed up and then finally they ended up blah, 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 and you got that shoulder tap business. Can you share that with the group? Mm-hmm. Be willing to throw out the playbook once in a while to highlight somebody and have them teach your lesson. If you see somebody implementing the truth, the principle and getting the result, let them teach it.
And that's like the most beautiful, most impactful way to train your agents, truthfully, is like have your agents train your agents for you.
Yeah. You want to know the number one reason, go do your own research on this. You see coaches that have winning seasons and they still get fired. Here's almost always what you see at some point in the article. Their voice got tired in the locker room. Just stop listening. They were saying the right thing. Everything they said was truthful, impactful, helpful. If followed, would have been productive. But people just tune you out after a while. Get your agents to say it. Get your words to come out of your agent's mouth. You're winning.
And that's that's a whole nother topic, by the way. But breeding leadership within your organization is so crucial. And it's so, I mean, honestly, Isaac, to me, that might be the hardest thing to do. Honestly.
I agree.
But if you can do it, that's where you really strike. When you have winners and winners who are leaders inside of your organization, who are willing to share, who are willing to coach and train and blah, 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 blah. Dude, that's when you just like, right? It's like a hockey stick.
100%.
It's like a hockey stick. And I know that the organization that you were a part of before, like very much so happened. And then, you know, the rev share downline that we were a part of, prior to going to LPT at EXP, we had a lot of great leaders inside of that rev share group and, who weren't at the tippity top, right? They were with, and that really, that's why that group was so special. I mean, obviously the leaders were fucking ballers, but like the real impact came from, you know, number 27 and like number 5 and like number 36, right? You know, I'm just thinking.
Oh, the informal leadership. Yeah.
Informal. Thank you. That's the term for it. And in your organization, if you can find a way, and we should definitely do a podcast on that. Like that is for sure a great episode. And I'm sure that Keith, and Austin might have some ideas on that too, but Isaac, is there anything else I should know before we end this podcast?
Yeah, actually, I've been talking to another podcast host about. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, in reality, it's this. It's that if you follow those formulas, will that be the best, most impactful one-on-one you've ever had in your life? No. I can almost guarantee no. Right? But what I was sick of was sometimes I crush it and the person walks out feeling amazing. Sometimes it was just so formal and like dusty. Here's what I'm saying. You follow a formula. Consistency is key. That's what they need. They need a consistent accountability partner. They need consistent coaching. So as long as you're consistent, that's going to trump the once in a while great one-on-one you had. You ever walk out of a one-on-one and be like, man, I was amazing in that. I made her cry.
Yeah.
But like in a good way.
Yeah.
But for real, like I was known as the guy that made people cry.
Yeah.
Because I was winging it every single time. But here's the problem. It was all emotional.
Right.
You feeling great and empowered walking out of there might translate into productivity. But you know what else is very empowering? Hitting your goals.
Having a plan. Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Don't let your ego get in the way. Stop trying to make everybody cry or feel something special when you meet a one-on-one. That's feeding you. It doesn't necessarily feed them.
Right.
It's a very short-lived thing.
Yeah.
So do what's right for them as opposed to what entertains you. Because one-on-one accountability can be boring. And so sometimes you are just entertain yourself.
You know what? That is a phenomenal point, and I'm glad that we're kind of ending here. This is not sexy work. Like this is really, I don't want to say boring because there are more boring things in the business, but yeah, it is mundane. It can get mundane because, like as you said, right? Like there are certain themes and things that come up every single time, and at some point you just want to like, you know, just like you want to beat your head on a wall. You're like, oh my gosh, like why are we talking about this, right? Like why are we talking about the same objection like for the 30th time in the last month? And by the way, if that's the case, like that should be a clue to you also that like maybe you're not coaching your people well enough to the point where like you're having the same issues come up over and over again, like you should be addressing that, in mass and repeatedly, kind of driving home the main points, driving home the solutions to the main problems within your organization. However, it is impactful. So if you can get over the mundane aspect of it or the mundane nature of it, like it really does make a big difference. Big difference. So
yeah.
Amen. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next playbook.